Hey guys, it's Caleb here today with VaporVid Games, and I'm here to give you our official review on Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Now I'm going to go through every part of this game that I can think of, including game types, the pros and cons, the price, system requirements, and different aspects comparing this game to Counter-Strike Source in order to give you guys the best review that I think possible. Alright, we're going to start right away with a basic pros and cons list. I'm going to start with the cons because basically there are not that many. This game is a good game. But here are the few things that I believe the game is either lacking or just a basic thing that some gamers might be looking for that this game cannot offer. The first con I would bring up, it doesn't have a storyline and it does not have single player. So if you are a campaign fanatic, this game might not be for you. Now, I doubt that there's anyone here that is just an absolutely die-hard, I only do campaign addict, okay? Everyone likes to do a little run and gun, multiplayer, shoot them in the face, and brag about it type gameplay. So, this game definitely has that. But if you're looking for a storyline, the only storyline you can really get from this game is there's a terrorist, I'm a counter-terrorist, he's planting a bomb, I'll defuse it. That's it. That's all the storyline you'll get. But it's worth it because it's a great game. Alright, the second con. There's new game types being made, which I'll explain later. But because of these game types and the way that they're played, a lot of the maps that are built into the game tend to be very small. They get to be very close together, and it gets annoying at times because you're going to get spawn killed right after your spawn protection is up. It happens in every game, but this game, sometimes it just gets to me. Right now, at the moment, here's another con, but it won't be a con for long. This aspect of the game actually makes the game very exciting and very adaptive. But it's a con at this moment that there's a limited map selection right now. Because the player base in the community is not that big, there are custom servers that the community makes, and over time, they're going to be building and adding new maps and creating new maps based on the new physics and the new graphics and weapon types in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. But at the moment, right now, it's very limited. You had the basic maps and a few maps carried over from Counter-Strike Source, like Scouts and Knives. You have the AIM maps, the gun game maps, a few surf maps like Great River, if you remember Counter-Strike Source surfing, which is awesome, which is still going to be implemented into this game. But at the moment, there's not any being created on a mass scale like in Counter-Strike Source, but it'll get there. Another con that, personally, I think it's a pro, but some people believe it's a con, is that it's very, very similar to Counter-Strike Source. So a lot of people say, well, Caleb, tell me why this game is not just an update or a patch to Counter-Strike Source. Everything is the same, all it is a texture update. But it's really not. The game itself it's so different. There's so many new physics, there's new weapons, and this new animations that they really couldn't make it a patch or an update. They had to make it its own entity because that's really truly what it is. So if you're thinking of, oh, it's really close to Counter-Strike Source, if you think that's a con, it's probably because you didn't like Counter-Strike Source. So if you didn't like Counter-Strike Source, this is not the game for you. It is very similar, but to me is a fresh touch of flair that they've added to it. Alright, now that's all the cons I have for now, but I'm going to bring up the pros. The pros of this game are very large, okay? You start off, immediately you turn on the game, you see, wow, this game has good graphics. The graphics in this game have been stepped up in the right direction since Counter-Strike Source. You just look up, run into a wall, you look at the texture, it's like, wow, that's much better than the blurry fuzz I saw in Counter-Strike Source. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. The weapon textures are just nice. The reload animations are much more fluid. Your muzzle flare and flash is all much nicer. The interaction between you and your surrounding environment is much nicer. And the thing I've been waiting for is that backstab animation. Oh, it's so nice. You run up to the back of somebody, you do that right click, and now it actually does something instead of just swiping them in the back. It actually stabs them, and it actually makes a nice dynamic feel like you're immersed in the game and you just like slaying some great warrior. So I think that's a really awesome thing. Another pro is this game is very fast-paced. As you know, if you've played a Counter-Strike Source game or any other Counter-Strike game, a lot of people like to compare any FPS to Call of Duty because that is probably the most popular fast-paced FPS. This game, yes, it is a fast-paced game. You could compare it to Call of Duty, though I wouldn't, because it is its own entity and it has its own gameplay feel. Another pro, which I mentioned in the cons actually, is there's going to be a diverse selection of play systems due to the large community base. This game is growing every single day, and the community base is just going to get larger and larger and larger. So as time goes on, you're just going to see new maps being created, new game types and mods being created. You're going to be searching through your servers and you're going to see just a brand new mod type. I mean, when Gun Game came out and Zombies came out for Counter-Strike Source, it was like, oh my gosh, this is such a fresh thing, man. It's something new, something great, something you can get into. It just gets you away from the normal plant defuse type gameplay that sometimes it just gets a little boring. So this game definitely has great opportunity to be able to change and to grow as the community grows. So that's a great pro. This game in itself is just super fun. It's just something you can go and your friends with, and you can make your own server, you can play on someone else's server, do your own game types. There's so much different things for each people. Your play style, there's a fast-paced, there's slow-paced, different game styles. If you want to just snipe, you got sniping servers, which is similar in Counter-Strike Source, except now the guns are a little altered, which is I'm going to be going into next. The weapons in this game, they do change from Counter-Strike Source to Counter-Strike Global Offensive. You do not have your scout anymore. Boo, yes, I know. The Scouts and Knives map, oh no. But yes, they actually did bring down Scouts and Knives back to Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and it is still called Scouts and Knives. It's exactly the same. They haven't retextured it yet. But, except you're going to be using an SSG, which is like the new Scout. It's still two-shot killed, except some of the sniping properties of the game, I could say, are altered slightly. When you're shooting somebody, sometimes Scouts and Knives with this SSG sniper, you're going to get a one-shot kill in the crotch, or a one-shot kill in the body. Now this is a new thing they've added because they've altered in the game that you do not start with body armor at 100 anymore. You get 0 body armor unless you buy it. Now the only time you could ever buy this is in either Classic Casual game mode or Classic Competitive, unless you are in a modded server, of course, where it is changed by mods or the admins. So that means in Arms Race, Demolition, or any other game mode where you cannot buy, you're going to be left with less armor. But they've also altered the weapon damage, so it doesn't change as much for any other weapon, but it definitely has an effect on Scouts and Knives, particularly because the sniper is usually a 2-shot kill, can now sometimes be a 1-shot kill in other places other than the head. So keep a lookout for that when you play the game. Another thing is that there are new weapons. Yes, there are new weapons, as you know. You still got your basic UMP, your P90. You got some of the Deagle, you know. You got your dual pistols everyone loves. You got those basic things, but also they've added in some new guns. They're very exciting. They're very new. Some of them add a different feel to some warfare and some gameplay, and some in itself just feel like the normal ones that you know and love from Counter-Strike Source. So that's an awesome thing that you should take a look at before playing. Maybe just watch some videos on YouTube, maybe from us, yes, VaporVid Games, and you could see how they work and see if you're going to like that gameplay style as well. Another awesome thing that they've added the new game types like I mentioned before. You got Arms Race. Arms Race, if you played Counter-Strike Source, or if you played any other type of gun game, this is what it is. It's a turbo gun game, Arms Race. It's built in to the game, so it's not a community-based game type. It is actually built in from Valve, and I believe that's because they heard the community say, look, we're making all these servers on gun game, we want to play gun game. So they added this in. It's a turbo gun game. You get a kill, you go right to the next weapon instantly, no waiting. You just go right to the next one, you get to your knife, you get the knife kill, you win. That's the first game type. The next one they implemented is Demolition. Now personally, this was my favorite game type when I played Counter-Strike Source. It's a round-by-round gun game where bombs can be involved. Usually it's only in default maps, or they can be totally avoided. But you get a kill, the round finishes, you either die or whatever, and then the next round you get the next weapon. So it lasts much longer than Arms Race, but it does give you that feel that you're advancing as the game goes on. The last two game types that Counter-Strike Global Offensive has added is the usual Classic Casual game type, where you buy usually played on DDoS 2, which is also brought back, as you know. And usually you get your weapon shop. You get either hostages or planting the bomb as the objective, and each side of the team gets their own terrorist, counter-terrorist, weapon-specific buys to choose from. And now you can also anyway. Also, you have the classic competitive, which is a new flair to this game types that they've added, which is pretty much the same as classic casual game type, except you can now buy the armor on classic competitive, and you can also buy tasers. Now I believe, I'm almost positive of this, that you can only buy a certain type of armor and tasers in competitive. There's more to that I've yet to see, but I'll update you guys as we go, because I'm not exactly sure. They've added an achievement and medal system here. You did in Counter-Strike Source later on when Steam updated its interface. You got the achievements for Counter-Strike Source. They have that as well in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, so that's always fun. You're going to be running and gunning, and you're going to pop up getting an achievement, so that's something to work for. But they've also added the medal system. Now the medal system is something new. It's based on your skill level, and it's based on different things that you've done in different game modes. Also, it's pretty much like an achievement based on your skill and what you like to do and how you play, and they'll give you medals based on your achievements and things like that. So that's an awesome thing to look for. Overall, this game is a awesome game. It's really fun. If you like FPS fast-paced shooters, this is definitely a game to look at and to be interested in. Now this game, the price-wise, this game is only $15, which is surprisingly good for a Steam game. Usually when you come out with a game under a popular title, as Counter-Strike is, that it would be like $50 or $60. But the reason for this, I believe, is that a lot of people do see this as just an expansion of Counter-Strike Source, and in many ways it is very, very similar. That's why it's still under the name of Counter-Strike. So I believe they made the right decision, Valve did, when they decided to sell it for $15. It's going to increase the player base, people are going to get excited for it, and I believe that's just going to make the game all the better. So $15 price range, I'd say that top-notch price range. What you get for the game it's great. You also have system requirements here. I'll post the system requirements in the description below. So if you guys want to click on that, it'll redirect you to a Steam page or a page alike, so you can see what your CPU and your GPU and the hard drive space you need to run this game. It's really not that demanding, even though surprisingly, because the graphics are really good, but it really only requires basic stock level computers that are being released today, so you shouldn't have a problem. Okay, so overall, VaporVid Games gives Counter-Strike Global Offensive a 4.5 out of 5. Yes, this game is super, it is kick butt, there's some flaws, but it's not to worry about because it is a great FPS multiplayer shooter. Some people might argue it's not a 5, which is why we didn't give it a 5, because there's no campaign, there's no single player, which is an aspect of gaming that some people really appreciate, enjoy, and wish that every game had. But this game does not have that, but not to fret, it is still a kick-butt game. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm Caleb with VaporVid Games. Stay tuned for more reviews, let's plays, and awesome content on your favorite games. Remember to subscribe, comment, and rate this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, let them know that we're coming up in the subscriber feed and that we're going to be supplying you guys with the best gaming content that you've seen. Thanks guys, have a good one.